Hi there. Welcome to The Preventable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The Preventable. With me today are two very, very distinguished guests that I'm so incredibly excited to have on, to spotlight the program that they're rolling out, to hear their stories. And as you all know, none of this could be even possible without the tremendous support that Hubbard gives us each and every time we come in here and we record this. It's just really incredible, and we're so grateful for their partnership. So again, with me today, hard pivot, we've got James Pursell and Aaron Walsh. Their fancy title is Labor Recovery Support Specialists with Lean STL, and we're going to call them peers. Is that cool with y'all?
Sounds about right.
Okay, so first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very, very good to be here.
This is awesome. And y'all are representing when you're matching shirts today. I like it.
Matching shit.
Honored to
You're
be
matching. You're matching. It's cute.
And we don't even do this on purpose.
Really?
Ever.
You all didn't coordinate this?
No, this just happens. It's pretty special, right?
No way. I totally thought you were like representing a company today, like
Listen,
for the
no,
pod.
by the way, you know us a little bit, right? We know you. This is who we are. This is not just, this is who.
It's cute, y'all. It's cute.
I'm not texting
Thank you for
James
saying. Thank you for
to
saying
ask him
so.
what color shirt he's wearing.
Right. Well, you have to. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be one of those like old married couples that walks out like wearing the exact same thing, right? Like a blue button down and khaki pants.
Nicole,
Does it happen a lot?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there something wrong with that?
No, of course not. This might be why
that
I'm still not married.
Is that not okay? You know?
No, I don't think it's okay. But again, maybe it's why I'm, divorced. Who knows? Anyway, Lean STL. Should we delete that part out? I think let's leave it in because it's funny.
Yeah, it's great.
The married couple?
Yeah, you're like a married couple. It's cute.
I love it because Aaron and I have only known each other for 9 months and a day. And so I find it pretty incredible, although we are both, if I don't say so myself, pretty open and caring people. But we have known each other a short time, and it is one of the great undercurrents of our program that we won't necessarily ever get to talk about, or unless you know us, that you'll know how special it is. Interpersonal relationships and having a partner in what we do is kind of a big deal. And so
Absolutely.
I feel really lucky to have him next to me and to be able to move in that way and have that person to check in with. And he's a pretty amazing cat. So anyway, sorry, I had to.
No, you'd never know that you all have only been working together for 9 months. I mean, it really does seem like you have a bond. I would say brothers, but brothers don't always get along. I mean, there's like an unspoken kind of like yin and yang situation, right?
Now you're speaking.
And that's what, this has been on a developmental basis. I mean, it's not easy.
Right. Oh, no.
We are really two totally different kind of underneath different. We approach situations a lot differently. So having some compassion and understanding for each other and, being respectful of how one another is has allowed us to flourish and, be more fruitful in our actions.
So, Lean, I remember when this idea was coming, like when I heard about the idea, and we'll really like dig into what it is, but like when I heard about the idea, like everyone was like super jazzed about it. And when I met you two at the luncheon, you came up and introduced yourself and you're like, hey, we're with Lean. And I'm like putting two together. I'm like, you're the peers. Like, that's so exciting.
That's exactly how that happened.
Yeah. Do you get that response a lot?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So this was really a brainchild of folks like Don Willie and folks at the Laborers Union. Talk a little bit about how the program came into being, but also like what is Lean specifically versus another entity, because it's kind of a part of a part, right? Like a division of
in a way.
Okay, yeah.
So we are the second in the Laborers Union, mirrored off of a program in Boston that's been going on for 5 years. 3 labor support specialists up there. They've had huge success, and it was brought to our director by Don Willie and John Gall and a couple other people. And at first she kind of shot it down. This was in 2015.
Sure.
And over time, they were crunching numbers and they were seeing that, they figured they didn't have a problem because people weren't utilizing these resources. Well, instead of looking at it that way, they realized we have a problem because people aren't utilizing the resources.
Correct.
So the ball began to roll, and then it was kind of like, well, where is this program going to come from? Is it going to be under the benefits office, or is it going to come out of the union? And the final say was that it's a benefit for our members. And so...
So it's Lean STL is kind of like the HR department for the laborers union?
We are part of our EAP program.
Love it. Okay.
But we do what our EAP program could never do.
Exactly. That's the power of peers in this particular case.
Right.
You can do the things that the EAP cannot, does not know how to, does not have the capacity for, fill in the blanks. So how did you raise your hand and say, yes, please? Were you chosen to do this? Did you go through an interview process? Tell me.
I'm sure, like all things, you're going to get a different answer from each one of us.
That's fine.
So I'll give my answer.
Yeah.
Funny thing, getting older as a laborer, you're also looking at your life, looking at your life path, recovery. My best self, I started going back to school about 3 years ago for social work.
No way, I didn't know that.
I found that to be, these things when you contemplate, especially as an older person, family, children, and you see people who are going to school and working full time, you go, no, I can't do that.
Right.
That's not me. And then it was me. You take that first social work class and your world explodes and you realize that that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
So you had been
yes.
a laborer.
Oh yeah. I've been a laborer for 24 years. I started in 1999.
Something. Okay.
1999. I had to make sure I was.
That was the year I graduated high school.
That's. I was gonna say that's messed up, Nicole.
Makes me feel old too.
Yeah. So well, it's not a secret, right? We are old. So
Yeah,
I'm 52 years old. But that was
You're
part
as
of,
young as you feel.
that was, we are laborers. Remember I told you.
Exactly, yeah.
But, we're all so much more than that. I'm also a Marine and, lots of things that go into that. But this is like part of, you ask a question and I'll try and make a long story longer. So that was supposed to be funny.
Are you a dad? Because you're really good with the dad jokes.
Oh, that's fucked up. Sorry.
Now we're going to have to bleep that out.
I had to go there. So, can I keep talking?
Yes, go.
So school's going on, and this was hard too, though, right? Like I'm making it sound like, oh, this is what happened to me.
No, I mean,
but
you're working.
Like I'm
and you're
working,
in
I am
school.
laboring,
That's a lot.
and anybody can call us anytime and talk about laboring. It's tough.
It's hard on the body. It's hard mentally.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean,
family's
it's hard.
all the same thing
It's
we're all
hard.
going
Yeah.
through, though, too. And so I'm a class at a time. Then I would take 2 classes over the winter, and it just would pick up steam. And so. This was part of my journey, though. We can call it part of our recovery process, which I was in also, but it's part of my life journey. And, we're all part of these systems, these life systems. And, I don't consider myself an especially lucky person. I don't gamble. I don't buy scratch off tickets. But I was at my union hall and talking to some of my union reps, really amazing people in my life who just didn't walk in my life. Ronnie Griffin, this great business agent, and just happened to be talking about school, and they're like, you can just, when you see a light bulb go off over somebody's head, and something's about to happen to you, and you get butterflies, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? So Ron runs me straight over to Don Willie, who looms large in our in many people's world.
That's it.
He is a gentle, giant, amazing human being, and so we can probably talk more about him and how he's a big part of why we're here. But instantly, all these things start clicking, and they tell me about this program. I had never heard about a peer, what a peer was. I didn't know how powerful it was. I mentioned I'm a Marine, so I also am a mental health consumer at the VA. And so immediately I started talking to the VA. Shout out to the VA health system. The peers there are incredible and do incredible work. And they, I started learning about this peer thing, but that is kind of how they introduced this. This was last November. I was introduced to the program. What do you think about becoming a part of this program? And so I have to tell this joke, and I'll hurry up and let Aaron finish. But so studying for social work, I've talked to people in the industry, and so I also work hard as a laborer. And so the joke is this. Everybody I talk to, like I know the president of Goodwill in St. Louis, he's like, James, when you get out of school, I'll hire you as soon as you get out for half of what you make right now. It is this incredible opportunity to still work for my union, to be a part of the population, the human beings that I have, blood, sweat, and tears with.
Worked alongside and
the trenches.
And that is one of the powers of the peer program.
Absolutely.
Right?
It is the power, because somebody outside of that world can't move, can't speak, can't sit there with you. They can try, they can resemble it.
Sure.
You might get lucky, they might say the right things, but it's part of the power of the peer, is that instant trust that allows you to move past all the crap and go straight to, allowing people to heal or to be human and to
there's that shared experience that you start with. And they know that not only, did you read books to pick up the lingo, but you've lived it. You haven't learned it, you've lived it.
By the way, people know. We all know that. People know.
Well, we say that all the time, like working with teenagers, like they can spot a bullshitter a million miles away. And the thing that they really care about is that you're genuine and that you understand, like that you haven't forgotten what it's like to be a teenager. Like you get it. You remember it viscerally. You remember, but it's that you didn't learn it, you're living it,
There's so many aspects of this, and I love talking about it, but there's also that power differential too, right? When that's engaged, the relationship,
1,000,000%.
the relationship changes,
Which is why I wanted to ask where this program lives, and that it's not the EAP, because some people still get real worried about EAP, that they don't want to necessarily disclose anything because they don't want it getting back to their boss and they don't want it impacting their performance or their, pay or whatever. But this is different than that.
I love Aaron. Aaron came across this. We also are community health workers. We studied, and I know I'm jumping all over, but
that's okay.
We studied at St. Louis Community College, and
they have a great program there.
An incredible program, a powerful program. That empowers people, and they talk about community health centers, and Aaron's like, we've created our own community health center in this, and not to pat ourselves on the back, but it's a powerful thing that moves, that describes it more skillfully than does an MAP or and honestly for us even a peer program, because we move differently. We are building
building your own thing, and really you're building it while you're flying. But I want to go back to something you said, which is that, is it right now, is it true that there are only 2 in the country, us in Boston?
Yes, as far as laborers go. Yeah.
Which is nuts. And I think we've put a lot of spotlight on the fact that the construction industry here in St. Louis is leaps and bounds ahead of many other arenas and many other areas, particularly in the mental health space.
It's incredible to say that in the state of Missouri.
Right, I know. I mean, we do a lot of things wrong, but in this space, we're doing a lot of things right, which is cool. So did you volunteer? Were you voluntold? How did you get into this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love being voluntold.
Them guys have seen me. I came in 1998, and they seen my, downward journey. And my life was partially saved by a peer on the job that I had seen years prior. And now he's walking around with a twinkle in his eye, and he's talking to people. And I just came up to him and I go, what are you doing? And he told me, and
oh my gosh, I just got the chills.
He came up and checked on me for 3 months. He would come up, get my face, you ready yet? And I'd be like, no, I'd hang my head, guilt and shame, right? And continue on. And then I was ready, and I knew who to call. And so when I called that guy and I got into treatment, I never looked back. And so since that day, I've always wore my recovery on my sleeve. You know, yeah, I'm in recovery. So, you know, I was voluntold because they're like, you want to help people, right? Well, this is what you're going to do. And
were you like, no, I would really like to swing a hammer?
Right. Well, you know, February, I got the call, and it wasn't really like, hey, there's this thing. It's like, hey, you're going to quit your job and you need to be here March 1st. And I go, okay. And granted, I'm jackhammering, I'm loading trash. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I went and told my boss, you know, and that was history. So
no way.
It's been great, you know, because that's ultimately what I want to do. Is, you know. And
so let me ask a question to both of you that I sometimes ask people who come on here who are in recovery or are very open about their mental health struggles and things like that. And this is going to sound like a really weird question, but it's based on my experience, which I am not a person in recovery. I sometimes wonder, if I was, would I want everyone to know it all day, every day, and that to be a part of my job? Or some days are you like, can I just like be Aaron, like not in recovery? And do you feel like next question is, do you feel like there is more pressure? Do you like that pressure? Is that how you like do your thing? Or is it like, will you like lay off my goddamn back? Like it's been a tough day.
Recovery has afforded me the chance to learn about myself, which is the greatest gift I could have ever been given. So, no, I enjoy being in recovery. It's never a dull moment. It's never.
But do you enjoy talking about it all the time?
Yes.
I mean, obviously your life is where it is today because you're in recovery. But some days do you just wish that, like...
I mean, there are some days where, you know, you kind of start to reflect, or you just become, you know, really drained.
Yeah. I mean, that's really why I'm asking.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, what's going on? Because I'm not used to that. So it's kind of like, okay, what is going on? And I reflect on the day, and it's like, okay, they don't seem like big deals, but you put it all together, and it's kind of like, oh, maybe that's got something to do with it. So I'm just paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, just observing, because it's a different world, and I'm not used to it. It's
right. How about you?
I thought you were going to give the tagline that other, you know, our work is not our recovery.
That is true.
You know, those are. So we're talking about two different things, and
thank you for bringing that up.
But they do overlap a lot.
Hey. It's my turn. Stay in your lane. Of course they overlap. Like, we're human beings, right? Of course. That's why I call it a tagline.
Yeah.
You know? But it's important. It's an important thing to say, though, because what it means is, by doing this incredible work that we're so lucky to do, that doesn't mean that's not our internal work. That's not our, that has to keep going. And obviously, lucky enough, and it was super important. I think we're both really lucky, I'll say again, but blessed, and it almost had to be a part. We were already on this journey, both of us, in our own way.
Yeah, it seems like it.
That had to be an important part of it. But yeah,
you had to be vulnerable and willing to share and talk and move forward and harness your life experience to help others before you were voluntold.
Yeah, you have to be in that place where I also believe that you know it has to be a calling, and for me, I don't want it to turn anyone else off of it, because it can look 10,000 ways, and I'm sure many people can do it skillfully for other reasons. But when everything else disappears and you're sitting with someone and helping them in some of the worst moments of their lives, you know, for me, I have to want to be there. Like that, that is where I'm supposed to be. And so that gets to be something different than my recovery. So they're all the same thing. They're all interconnected.
You're still doing your own work. You're still, like, our peers, they might still go to their own meetings. They're still going
absolutely.
and celebrating their own stuff. And they're also helping other people experience that. But they're also doing their own thing.
Yep.
And working their own journey. Yeah. So how many laborers are there in St. Louis?
A lot.
Ish. Like hundreds, thousands?
Members alone is around 5,000.
Yep.
But with family members, we're around 11,000.
Yeah.
And there are 2 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know we've been part of all kinds of conversations. Speaking of Don, Mr. Bulldog, between him and John, they are determined, to have basically 2, if not more of you at every friggin' job site where there are laborers. That would be awesome. And we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So how are you 2 sort of prioritizing where you're going? Because I often wonder that, like, as I drive down and I see all the construction sites, first of all, I'm like, okay, is this a place where there'd be union laborers? That's number one. And if they are, how do they know about you? And then how do you 2 prioritize where to go and how to spend your time?
We have a...
And I know you're figuring it out, right? Because you're new.
Yeah.
Ish.
And we also have a lot of bosses. So that kind of has to run through the channels.
Right.
But we do what we can, and right now it's we've been getting guys together. Whether it be at a meeting or
okay.
So we're looking at peer groups.
Okay.
Getting
That's
these guys
smart.
together. First one was Friday, and a couple phone numbers were exchanged.
Get out of
and
town.
I said, there it is. And that was super cool. And it was the meeting after the meeting, right? Or like 20, 30 minutes of just camaraderie and laughing. And it was super cool. So, and guys want that. Guys want to, associate with each other that understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where we're at is getting some mass text lines together and
wow.
And just connecting people. There's a lot of us in recovery.
Yeah. Well,
already.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
So it kind of lean on them guys too,
Yeah.
And so I would add a bunch of things to that also, because it's a lot more than that. There are many stages, like you said. This is new for us, so different phases of rollout, ways to communicate to all of our members wherever that, because they're all human beings. So you asked about numbers and members. So that's what that's really talking about is human beings, families, units that are all interconnected and struggle. And so it's not just recovery from addiction or from substances. Sure. We're talking about mental health and life stuff. And so there are lots of things going on. Aaron and I have a hotline that we answer, a warm line, if you will.
Cool.
It's 24/7. And so, to me, having this as a resource so people understand it. And I think, like I mentioned, it's going to come out in a lot of different ways. One of the ways I hope is word of mouth. Mm-hmm. Lives changed. These people out there moving and
like what happened with you, Aaron. Like that was word of mouth.
Absolutely.
And if you all had been in existence at that point in time, dollars to donuts, that dude would have been like, hey, I'm here and this is who you can call.
Yeah. So I do agree in the interconnectedness, but it's bigger than any meeting you could put together. These are all lives that move in different ways. We're talking about our population. It's very interesting because they all work for different employers. So it can be segmented.
Yes.
There are people, this is another way Aaron and I like so interesting, the two sides of the coin. Aaron was a guy who worked out of the hall. He saw a lot of the hall. There's guys who never talk to any of their union reps at all. They get a job, they work for them, and so for them to also know who we are, and I think it goes for. It's a kind of a universal thing, right? It's kind of why we're even talking about this about peers. Is there is a wall between people and clinicians. People don't utilize their resources. People wait a long time before they go and get help for a multitude of reasons. And so we want to help change that. We want to be there for people and help create. I also think there's this mechanism already out there in this world. If anybody knows anything about military population and also the construction industry, the populations look awful alike. And so there's these units already out there where these people are already interacting with each other. Picture yourself at work with the people and spend a lot of time with. You know more about them than most people do. And those interactions are something that I want to take advantage of, because these people, if just given that extra little bit of information or zhuzh to be able to be there for each other in good times, but definitely in bad. And we have this new resource that we can take advantage of that system. I think people already know what's going on out there with each other. They just don't know how to help.
How to tap in, when do I say something? I don't want to overstep, but I know what's going on. Where do I refer them to so that, again, they're not getting in trouble at work, because that's definitely still a stigma that people have. And the game has changed with workplaces, but I mean, we're a recovery-friendly workplace, and I know darn good and well that I would still have employees that would be hesitant to come forward. That's just that's the nature of the thing, right? That's of the disease, of the whatever it is, fill in the blank.
Absolutely.
Because of the power differential.
Yeah, power. I love it. It's so. I wish people could see inside my mind. I just the other day helped a member, and he asked me to go to his employer with him, and for people to sit in that moment. And I love talking about this moment because people talk about the hard work and the hard road of recovery. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but what I will say is this: when you can let go of some of that shit you're hanging on to, and it's like we hold on to it like we'd rather die than let go. And to watch somebody to allow even a little bit of loosening that, and to watch this human being with his employer and watch his employer look at him with care. And this is where I'm still talking about construction people.
I understand.
These are still some hard ass people, but to watch this happen and to know, why aren't we all doing this? So long story short, his employer was so grateful that we were standing there and having this conversation. Couldn't have been more supportive. And we're all okay, everybody, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And when we're caring for each other, I'm not trying to sound too corny, but
I know.
We are so much stronger and so capable of this, and it is such a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's amazing. And you also mentioned, and you and I have talked about this, Aaron, like the power that the families play in all of this, because the union and the EAP, I mean, they definitely support families too, right?
Absolutely.
And when somebody is experiencing a mental health or a substance use crisis or challenge, it affects more than just them. So have families been pretty receptive to this as well? Absolutely.
I mean, families are receptive as they're going to be, just like anybody looking for help. I know myself and James have both kind of been in the middle of some family things.
Sounds super fun.
Yeah. Well,
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's very interesting.
That's a good word.
But it's rewarding too on the other side. Like, things don't always work out to the best of their ability, but them knowing they're supported through this organization.
Right.
I've even had guys that my first meeting was, the union's never done a damn thing for me, and then turn around, 3 weeks later and go, wow, this organization cares about me, and it's things like that are just so fruitful for me. But yeah, we support the family as much as possible. I mean, that's one of the first things, like, how's the wife? How are the kids?
Yep.
How's your living situation? Sometimes guys need space, so they go stay somewhere else for a while. And, we do what we can across the board.
Yeah.
Whether it be food, utilities, I mean, you name it, we're here to support them however we can. Yeah.
What were you going to say? I know you got something to add.
I'm going to rob this word, intersectionality. It's,
okay.
We can't isolate these things.
No, of course not.
Right. And so all this is.
Because even if the person's not married, they maybe have kids or stepkids. They definitely have a parent who's definitely, you know what I mean. They probably have a parent that's worried about them or that has noticed a decline in whatever's going on.
They also have these people at work.
Exactly.
We're all,
exactly.
we are all so interconnected, and it is all part of it. I love how stories can just tell I have a member whose spouse texts me while I'm helping them. Spouse is in hospital, trying to get into treatment. This really traumatic, powerful crisis. And I don't like saying this because I did something, but here's the text back is, here's what I'm going through. Thank you so much for being here. I can't imagine what I would do without you here. And like that speaks
awesome. Volumes. So
this is this spouse, just to paint that picture of what this can look like. And also I want to take stigma out of it. This is human being stuff. This is stuff that we're all dealing with together. And so, you can't take a person out of their family. What I love is both sides of that, right? Because we're talking about the trauma and the negative, but also the positive. When somebody is being helped and recovery is this real, very real thing that happens every day and is so powerful, when that's happening, then those lives are also being touched in a different way.
Absolutely.
And so we may help a member. We may talk to somebody one time, but to think about all the other touches, the possibilities of how that changes, and how we're all working together and interconnected. That's the family. We may not even see it, right?
I know. You were probably planting a lot of seeds. You might not see every single seed come to fruition and bear fruit, but you're planting a lot of seeds. You might be disrupting some generational trauma. You might be encouraging a family conversation at home. You might be causing some divorce that might actually be the very best thing for everyone involved. There's a lot of things that you all are doing. And some people might be listening going, wait a second, why would an employer want to do this? Because it ain't cheap, right? It's an investment of time and resources. Why would they want to do this? And I think that I could sit here and I could say, well, duh, it's a retention issue. There are staffing shortages everywhere. Of course, they want their employees to stay safe, and they have to meet OSHA requirements. And if you have employees that are unsafe, like that dings their ratings and all that kind of stuff. Like I could do all that shit, right? And if I was a glass half empty type of person, that's where it would end. Well, of course, this is good business for them. And that might be a little true. But I also think that there's something bigger here. Right?
Yeah. If, for every dollar you spend on prevention is about a $7 to $10.
7 to 12.
Oh, 7 to 12.
Some numbers say 18, but whatever.
Right? So
whatever.
Hey, these are facts, right?
But prevention is very unsexy to most people.
Sure, but when you also look at, right, if you look at the deadlines these guys are under now, burnout because of these deadlines and the labor shortage. You look at, absenteeism. Guy can only show up 3 times a week.
Suicide rates.
Presenteeism. Guys.
Oh, yes.
Hurting someone on the job site.
Yeah, you don't want somebody like driving a crane that is not like their head is not in the job, right?
But these are all pressures that these guys are being put under.
Yes.
And it's a very serious situation.
Not to say that anything from if you're a dad, and I'll just gender it because, we're talking about construction, it's primarily men, but if you're a dad and your teenager is going through something, that weighs on you and that is distracting, right? If you're worried about paying your bills, that is a real weight, right? And My dad was in construction growing up. They never had those kind of conversations. The meeting after the meeting was usually standing around the job site drinking beer. Exactly.
Yeah.
But they weren't talking about their feelings. They weren't talking about the stuff that they were going through. It didn't mean they weren't going through it.
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
You can't even quantify how this stuff affects you when you can imagine, as we all can, when we're going through it. Like, we're not there.
No.
So imagine that happening.
You're like a friggin' zombie. Like, you're there, but you're not there, you know?
Hey, I have a question. I'm sorry, I'm going to redirect, but
Lay it on me.
why is prevention so unsexy? Sorry.
Well, I think after 15 years in this business, I think it's because the best work happens when nothing happens.
I love that.
And we know that headlines, it's, if it bleeds, it leads, right? And so I think prevention would become sexier if we as a society were less focused on instant gratification.
There it is.
For you to plant seeds, you might not see fruit for decades.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Your company might not see real ROI for years.
Yeah.
So you have to prioritize the long game.
Yeah.
And in our society, we don't prioritize the long game. And it's getting worse as we've gamified everything. And it's not me saying, oh, I'm an old fogey and we had social media, but we've gamified everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I really push for shared stories.
Connection,
share that stuff. Like, if you have been there and you have found a way out, like, share that. Like, together, I run into you guys that are like, oh, come on, why are you holding it back? Why? Because we do need to change our attitudes and behaviors, and behaviors around this stuff. It's
to normalize it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I don't love the word always, but to open ourselves up to it, to not hide it away, to not squeeze it away, and to really be human. And I personally, I'm a pessimist by trade, so I practice optimism. I
knew I liked you. Yes.
I watch people. Everybody's hard on young people. I watch them move in ways that we had to scratch and claw to get here. And so my hope is full and high for them to move in ways that we have only fought and thought to, and to push this forward. So to be human and to be better because of it. It's just it's a process of change.
That's right.
I want to say something too. I love when people talk about, upstream or downstream. Like, I love it when somebody can come up with that perfect little mechanism that allows everybody to go, oh, okay, I get prevention now. Like to alter people's lives, to have these gentle touches. All the way into childhood, when we can have, people are predisposed, and we can have these gentle touches that can alter lives. So we can talk about dollars and cents, and but when we talk about lives changed and communities changed, that inspires me. I'm sorry if I'm getting a little gushy about it, but that inspires me.
It is inspiring. And what you all are really doing is really both sides of the stream. It really is. It's upstream, because you're trying to help those people, let them know that there are resources before anything happens, before there's a family emergency or a family crisis, before there's a workplace incident, whatever. But then also, you are also downstream saying, okay, you're in an emergency state, you need help, let's get you the help.
Yeah.
So you're sort of straddling both worlds, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. It's somewhere in the middle, right? Like
the middle path.
Yeah. And that's, that's where, these success stories and people learning that, they can trust us and believe in us when we say we're going to do the things we're going to do, and we're not talking to your employer, and we're not doing these things that you wouldn't want us to do. We're changing the culture. We're getting. The more we get in front of these guys, hopefully, the more they can trust us.
You're building your reputation,
and hopefully, the more this thing catches steam. Like, okay, something's going on. Let me just reach out and see what just let me try, or something.
Yeah,
So,
it's worth a shot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Because you all are doing the work each and every day. You're building the reputation of the program, but it also rests upon the reputation of you all, which is really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, we the meeting Friday was amazing. And we got to sit in front of some contractors, and OSHA was there, and we put on this little presentation.
Oh, okay.
And it went great. And that's what we need. Like, we promoted workplace friendly, and we're, this is closing the loop on this. Like, let's all work together, right? We're not asking you to give people 3 or 4 or 5 chances. No, but another chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
It doesn't have to be zero tolerance.
right.
Aaron and I love talking about this thing where to be vulnerable with people, and we do this thing where cats look at us and they're like, "Oh, we can do that!"
Yeah.
Like that's such a wonderful thing, and that's where the real the real work can happen.
Well, on behalf of pretty much everyone in St. Louis, thank you for doing what you're doing. I mean, seriously, people are geeked about this. And I think that it's not just people in the construction industry, like people who are in this field are really excited.
Can I say something about that?
Tell me.
We feel, I feel so lucky, standing on the shoulders of giants. If anybody doesn't know who Nicole Dawsey is,
Oh, Lord, we can cut this part out.
If anybody doesn't know these human beings, and we all know, we know life. There's always these strengths behind us, I feel like such a,
But like Don, for example.
Don was in my mind.
He's the
John
man.
Gall, like these people who aren't
The whole board.
who aren't in your face, who aren't in your face, jamming stuff at you, they're back there doing this hard work. Aaron would not be sitting here doing this without all of that. And when we walk into this world 9 months ago of care and compassion, of recovery, of all when I look at all the people doing this work, it's so for me from an outside it seems so unglamorous, and now that I'm in here, it is so glamorous. But when I look at them and feel the propulsion of them, we are so just a small part of this. I've heard coalition, and you all have taught us that on a daily basis, and we are so humble. And so thank you for allowing us to be a part of your world and a part of this. That's all I can say. It's not, don't think it's just yet.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing
what you
us.
guys do for peers is above and beyond, and yeah, it warms my heart. And the infrastructure is here for us to succeed. You guys have shown us nothing but support. We have support from our organization across the board. We're gonna make this thing happen.
Yes, you are.
Shout out to Dinah Marburger.
That's it. Woo-hoo! Gotta shout her out.
I had to put in there.
Thank you all so much for being here. I mean, really and truthfully, and you have an open invitation. Next time you want to come back and talk about the latest thing that you're doing and rolling out as part of this program, we're all in. Really appreciate everything that you're doing. And I'm so glad you both were voluntold, because I can't imagine 2 other people doing it. So thank you.
Thank you.
If you like what you've heard, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing to The Preventable. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us at The Preventable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at prevented.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The Preventable.